Hey, Isaac.
Hello.
It's the reaction show. Oh, no. It's the preview show, and it's us. It's just us. This is kind of weird. We're back. Anyway, we've got 4 games to preview, plus a Monday night football game, so we better get down to it.
Let's do it.
G'day, Aussie Gridiron fans, and welcome to the G'day Gridiron podcast, brought to you by the Aussie Gridiron Network, Australia's home of gridiron content. It is the Week 5 preview show. It is myself and Isaac, just us by ourselves tonight. Both Brad and Nick are away, but that doesn't mean we've got less to do. It just means Isaac and I have got more to do in theory, but we've still got 4 games to preview for the games we want to watch in the Monday night football game. But apart from that, how you going, mate?
I'm good. After a bit of a break on Tuesday, I'm excited to talk some football again. So let's do it.
Well, good. Good. I'm excited to talk some football. I always am. And it is shaping up to be a pretty decent week too. It looks like crap on paper, but when you start diving into some of the matchups this week, I think it's quietly turning into a half-decent week.
Yeah, well, I've previously said in week 2 that there was slim pickings between the games, and it turned out to be a really good week. So let's hope it's the same for week 5. Let's go.
Yeah, let's hope it is, for sure. We've still got there's a second of the London games or the international games in the UK. The Vikings and the Browns are over there for that that matchup in London. So that's going to be interesting because it's now Carson Wentz and Dylan Gabriel starting quarterbacks for their respective teams. Joe Flacco, Brad and I were asking the question the other day. You would have heard us if you listened to the reaction show, was when the hell is this going to kick off and how far can you really go? Well, it turns out this week is the week. I actually think it's a really good week to start blooding a rookie. And I think if you give him a couple of weeks and then flip to the other one to get a good sample size of both, I think they're in the right space for it as well, especially with a bye next week. Pretty sure the Browns have. Yeah, I'm sure they're on the bye. I can't remember fully. I'll just have a look now. But
yeah, so I was listening to this on the way home from down the coast today, and to you and Brad, and this was after Dylan Gabriel got announced, and you guys were talking about how it's probably time for a change at the at the Cleveland Browns. It's like you foreshadowed it.
Did foreshadow it, mate. Absolutely. No, they're not on the bye this week. So they got Pittsburgh. Yeah. So I reckon you get a 4-game stretch here at Dylan Gabriel. You get a good idea on who he's going to go up against. Vikings, Pittsburgh, Dolphins, Patriots. Too good, too bad. And then you can throw in Sanders after that, after the bye week for 4, I reckon. And you get him for Jets, Ravens, Raiders, 49ers. Too good, too bad.
Yep.
Well, like, we're in.
Yeah.
Pretty good sample size, and you know where to go from there.
It's like they knew what they were doing, but just...
I don't think they knew what they were doing, mate.
Flacco is still listed as QB2, and Stefanski says he is a backup, so Shador Sanders isn't in the backup range yet, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I think that's back up in the way that if it all starts turning pear-shaped in a game, we'll still throw Flacco in a game.
Yes,
and I wouldn't be surprised if at some point that they list Shador Sanders as the starting QB and Joe Flacco as the backup, because it is literally going to be, okay, Dad's there behind you, and he's going to help you through this. And if you get in trouble, Dad will bail you out, right? So, yeah, that'll come pick you up from the party at 2 a.m. No questions asked.
The Vikings defense has been playing really well lately as well, so it's going to be a true test for Gabriel this week.
It is. So yeah, so that's on the cards. We've still got an international game. It will be daylight savings in the eastern parts of Australia. So the good eastern parts of Australia come Monday morning, which means 4 a.m. games again and 7 a.m. games for the late windows, and basically lunchtime for the Sunday night football game. So that's great news for any of us that watch football. It is a weird time for the some of the other games, but yeah, the second slate are in a weird time. But 4 a.m. games, great. There's some really good matchups in that. There's a couple we're going to preview tonight. There's a couple of the 7 o'clock games or thereabouts, and yeah, there were a few I definitely wanted us to steer away from this week though. Like you and I were chatting, and it was Patriots Buffalo in the Sunday night football game. It could be good, but it could also be absolutely terrible for one way.
Yes, it could be, because Buffalo may be a bit angry after not demolishing the Saints last week, so that could be a beatdown, or it could be a really competitive game after New England put a beat down on the Panthers.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, good and bad this week, but a few of them are shaping up. If they go the right way, we should have a good week of football.
Aussie.
It might be pretty obvious, but I am not Matty C.
NFL.
Absolutely stoked to have it on the podcast, mate. Welcome.
Fantasy.
Tay, I think it's time you just abused your mate here.
Would you rather be fighting zombies or aliens?
Find hidden gems.
And with that, we're into some breakouts.
I'm glad you're stalling, because my results last week were a hot piece of ass.
We all had our struggles, mate.
You've unzipped the pennies, and it's time to put the pennies in the pit. Let's do it.
I'm taking Trey McBride.
I'm just leaning on the old tuck shop, tuck graft.
And all of a sudden, he's just lighting them up.
Catch starts of the week.
I'm just going to go ahead and take Goff at Chicago.
So I'm going to go running back. I'm going to take Travis Etienne.
I'm going to go ahead and take your boy Ty Tracy.
I'm going to take Adam Thielen.
So I'm going to go and take Richo against Tennessee.
I'll take Matt Stafford.
Just a little float out the Dalton Kincaid.
I'm actually going to take Caleb against the Lions.
Friday and Sunday all season long. The Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing.
Thanks to the Aussie Gridiron Network.
Good to give me the dance floor. I'll probably fucking snap the floorboards.
So let's jump into some games we want to watch.
Let's go.
Now, I was reminded this week, well, you and I were talking again, when we were talking about why I'd thrown out why we should do 4 games and 4 games that we want to watch this season. I guess I'd never really explained it to everybody properly about why I wanted to go down this path, because I've been pushing the boys to not just pick teams that are winning teams, because it's not necessarily the best games to talk about, because everybody talks about them, so there's a lot of news out there. But why would we pick some other games around the best games on the slate, essentially? And the way I had it viewed was essentially if you look at Red Zone, if you're a Red Zone fan, the quad box or the octo box, it's that theory, or for us here, DAZN, it's multicam. So it's building that screen. So what would you want to watch alongside something? So let's say you've got one of the really good matchups in a window. Let's go with the early window. So Broncos, Eagles obviously is the best matchup in that window by far and away on paper. You can look at it and go, that's going to be the best one there. So naturally you're going to have that on. What other game could you just sort of keep tabs on that could be interesting in that window that might turn out to be a bit of a screamer in the fourth quarter where, it could be really fun to watch? Well, that's what the whole idea is. So what do you pair with something else? And we've kind of paired up those two. I think married them the best this week that we have so far this season.
Yep.
So with that in mind, let's start with Broncos at Eagles, which of course will be probably the best game on that slate at 4:00 to watch. So the Denver Broncos are going to Philadelphia to match up against the Philadelphia Eagles. The 2-2 Denver Broncos are coming off a week where they trounced the hapless Bengals, who could only muster 178 yards total on offense. Bo Nix threw for 300 yards, twice what he was able to attain against better competition the week before with the Chargers. The Eagles may not look like the most complete team in the league, but each side of the football is doing exactly what is needed to win games each week. They're 4-0, playing a different brand of football to what we're used to seeing from them. So can they continue to roll against the Broncos, or do Sean Payton and Bo Nix have something different in mind, Isaac?
Yeah, well, this Philadelphia Eagles team reminds me a lot of the Kansas City Chiefs team when they're on the 3 or 4 year run stretch where they're making the Super Bowl. They're just doing everything in the regular season just to win games. So they've done it against the Rams, and I can't remember, but I don't think they've had more than a 10-point win during the season so far. So I mean, they're just getting it done. And the Denver Broncos, who were highly touted at the start of the season, I had them high on my rankings. I thought their defense was going to be really, really good. Bo Nix has taken a bit of a step back, but it looks like he might be starting to hit his straps now. So, could just be a defensive game. To be honest, the Eagles' defense is really good. The Denver defense is really good, and are the Eagles just going to do enough to beat the Broncos in this one?
Yeah, I don't know. You are right. There's not more than a 10-point game in there. Their four wins so far have all been by fairly small margins. I think 9. No, what's that math? Where's Brad when we need him?
So they've
there was a 7 and 6 is 13. So there's 13 points against the Rams. It's interesting that you forgot that, bud.
No. There's 7 points against the Rams.
Oh, no, it's the other way. I'm doing it the wrong way. See what I mean? Math. Where's Brad? Where's Matt? Where's
So
Brad?
4, 3, 7, and 6 are their winning margins this year. So
that is interesting. And the other interesting part is they on offense, they're not doing a lot. Like Hurts's passing yards have all been like 220 is his highest, which was against the Rams. You've got to throw on the Rams to beat the Rams.
Well, that's right.
We found that out with every team. But the rest of them are all 150, 100 against KC, 130 against Tampa. Barkley's doing nothing. He, at times Hurts is the highest rusher in the team. Barkley's not. So they're a very, very odd team right now because defensively, offensively, there's no leaders in the pack, but they're all doing what they need to do. So is it a pretty brand of football? No. But is it an effective brand of football? Yes. And I think you're right. I think that comparison with the Chiefs a few years ago is very, very apt and very correct.
Yeah. So
it does seem that way.
They could have done it against the Bucks, I believe, in that game. They just switched off, which is what they're going to do, and then they just did enough to win the game. I do really like the alternate tush push play that they've got going as well. That they don't do it anymore. The fake tush push, that's just rubbing it in the face of everyone. It is that's fantastic. That is really, really good. I love it.
I do find it interesting for them though the fact that they haven't beat these bigger teams by a bigger margin right now. They have had the harder end of their schedule right now. It's sort of bookended their schedule with the harder teams.
Yep.
They're coming into that run in the middle here now where they've got the Giants, the Vikings. They'll go against Packers and Lions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got a relatively hard schedule looking at it, right?
I don't know if it's that hard, though.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's that hard, which is the thing.
Yep.
I don't know. I guess you'd like to see him put more points on a team. Denver, on the other hand, I think that they would be disappointed with 2-2.
Oh, yes, 100%.
They've only just won games against teams this season. And granted, the Colts have something very different to what we're used to seeing. But they only ran out 8-point winners over the Titans in week 1. And I would have hoped that they would have blown the doors off them. Then 2 losses. And then obviously they beat the Bengals, who were completely terrible. I can't understand the Bengals. Looking at things to sort of sum up some stuff here, the fact that they only had 170 yards on offense is wild with the offensive skill talent that they have on that team. But it shows you just how much that whole skill talent relies on Joe Burrow, and could that could that game have been completely different with Burrow at QB? You know, in the way the Broncos are playing, they might be 1-3. You know, so
Yeah.
I think I find it's interesting though because I just find Bo Nix and Sean Payton intriguing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I thought Evan Ingram coming over would be a bigger factor in this offense as well, but he hasn't seemed to factor too much into the offense. And you got J.K. Dobbins has taken that RB1. There was a lot of discussion at the start of the season whether it was going to be R.J. Harvey or J.K. Dobbins, and he's taken that and pardon the pun, he's ran with it. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they go against this Philadelphia defense.
It will be. They're going to have to try and pass on them. That's all I know. So
Well, that's what the Rams did, and the Rams seem to find the formula to compete with the Eagles, and they just pass on them. But so look for Cortland Sutton to have a big game.
yeah, so yeah, they're going to have to. I think that's the way forward. So the other game in the early window that I think we would all put in as a bit of a multi-view kind of deal and what to keep an eye on. Raiders at Colts. Now it seems like an odd choice just to say that. Raiders at Colts. Why would you watch that? The Raiders are 1-3 and the Colts are 3-1. So why this game? Well, the Raiders might be coming off the back of a 3-game losing streak, but that doesn't make them less entertaining to watch. They seem to find themselves last week a bit against a pretty plucky Chicago Bears, finally leaning on Ashton Genty and smashing that run game, as we all said that they should from way back in preseason. And that seemed to open Gino up to play a game that seemed way more natural to him as well. The Colts should have been 4-0 this week. If it wasn't for two massive mistakes from A.D. Mitchell, they would be. More than showing that they're capable of matching the big gameplay style of the Rams, Daniel Jones is showing that sometimes it just takes some years and the right coaching for a young QB to find their rhythm. Already over 1,000 passing yards this season. He's on his way to eclipse his highest ever passing total, which is around 3,300 yards, and likely get closer to that big 5,000-yard season. The Colts should bounce back here, I think, against the Raiders, but it's definitely shaping up to be a fun one and one to keep a watch on for that big fourth quarter.
Yeah, well, the Colts have been fun to watch, as you've been saying before. Like Daniel Jones has been playing really well. Jonathan Taylor has been amazing. He's been close to probably the best running back in the league this year. And their wide receiver room can get things done. It's Michael Pittman's come back. He seems to be healthy. I think he was a bit banged up last year, which is why he had a bit of a down year. And then on the other side, you got to watch it for Ashton Genty. Like he scored 3 touchdowns last week. Like is that his breakout game? Is he going to continue to do that for the rest of the season? Is that as it's all over social media, he got his old stance back from Boise State. He's standing like he was out there. So, this will be a really good one to watch. So, yeah, let's get it.
Yeah, I think Genty, the fact that the old stance tells me that he's feeling more comfortable.
Yep.
And he's gone, I need something that I can rely on, I can relax against, and I'm going to feel more comfortable in.
Yep.
To go back to that, look at the game that he had. They used him, they ran him. Did they change up the gameplay a bit to do that? You're never going to know. But I think that's the blueprint that they need. You know, and any offense that Gino has ever excelled in has been because the running game has got well established and was hammering, and he was able to function as the system QB or that guy that could just steer the ship. You only have to go back and have a look at what was happening at the Seahawks the last couple of seasons with guys like Kenneth Walker. Once he gets established in a game, it was, Gino could run the offense and they would win games, or they would keep themselves in games. So it certainly worked a lot better. So
yeah, and he seemed to have found his favourite target as well in Trey Tucker. He's some kind of emerged there as his wide receiver one. So he had a big game a couple of weeks ago. So once Genty gets going, like you're saying, they can run the play action, and that'll open up the middle of the field for either Bowers or the long part of the field in Trey Tucker.
Yeah, he obviously has been injured this week, but he was limited in practice, which means he did still practice this week. So it looks like he's trending that way, which is good. Michael Myers, funnily enough, both of them were on the injury report, both tight ends on the injury report this week, but Myers is coming off the back of a missing last week for a concussion, so he'll definitely be back. They were both limited in practice, but it looks like both of them will be back. I expect we'll see Bowers back a lot more in the passing game. They might just try and get out. Oh, I don't know. I don't know how they'll play him, but they're going to have to look after him, I guess. But hopefully that means they'll lean on Genty a lot more.
Yep.
Colts-wise, I'm just going to love seeing that evolution of Daniel Jones again because it's been fascinating this season. Fascinating to see how much different the Colts are playing as an organisation with a QB that can function.
It's been really, really, really nice to watch. It was a bit like the Sam Darnold of last year, right? It's just a guy that's been written off by the media, by everyone on social media, and they're just coming back and showing that they actually can play the game, and it may be the organisational or the coaching situation they're in. Their coach just might not play their game plan the way they want to play.
All right. Let's move on to the late window. And obviously the times are in two different times here, but they're close enough together. I'm going to go first with Bucks at Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks, Sam Darnold's Seattle Seahawks are 3-1 so far this season. It's been a sensational season for the Seahawks, largely sort of underrated, under the radar, I guess you could almost say. But they've been quietly getting it done and winning games. They had a pretty decent win against the Cardinals last week, though they did let the Cardinals back into the game in the fourth quarter a little too much. But this team is first overall in DVOA for the season so far. They're light years ahead of any other team on that metric, which is against the average. So it's essentially how a team is performing against the average of the entire league. And these guys are well and truly ahead of that. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers had their first loss of the season and are now 3-1 against the Eagles last week. So you've gone up against the Super Bowl champs, who obviously were on their own winning streak. They played really well. They stifled what was happening at the Bucs. And the Bucs were in the game even at the end, like we thought they would be. And it looked like they were going to get it done maybe late in the fourth quarter again and Baker taken down the field, but they just couldn't put it together. But this one for me is going to be a really, really interesting matchup to see just the way Tampa Bay bounced back from that loss, but also the way that the Seahawks just keep sort of quietly building everywhere around them on that field through Sam Darnold just managing a game, Walker just having amazing games on the ground, JSN really coming alive in his own right as a wide receiver one. So these two things against each other, I think this is going to be, and I'm hoping it is going to be, a really good game for 4 quarters. And that's what I'm really looking for with this game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one too. And you say Seattle have been quietly doing their business, and haven't they? Apart from, their only loss come to the 49ers in a game which could have gone either way. So they could potentially be 4-0, right? So, and I tell you what, I know Taylor from the Aussie Fantasy Show loves JSN, but I don't know if he loves him more than I do. He has been amazing. I've just, like, he's a division rival to my Rams, but I just love watching him play. He just comes up big. He came up big in the Cardinals game last Thursday night, Friday our time. But yeah, I just really love it. And the Buccaneers, I'm not sure what to make of the Buccaneers. Yes, they're winning the close games, and they lost to the Eagles in a game they probably shouldn't have been in, which we've previously mentioned. So I'm not sure how it's going to go. This game might tell us a lot about both teams, and it'll tell us a lot about the winner of this. So if the Seahawks win, they're up there contending with the Rams for the NFC West. And if the Bucks win, they will run away with the South. So that's going to be an interesting watch, and it's going to be interesting to see where the winners go and where the losers bounce back in this game.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Totally agree that whoever the outcome of this game is huge for both teams in their respective divisions. I think we're going to see, like last week against the Eagles, the Bucks lent heavily on Bucky Irving and Igbuka. So I see that happening again too. Those guys both had 100-yard receiving games, with Bucky Irving absolutely smashing the running game as well.
Is Bucky on the injury report?
That's going to be sensational. I think he might be. I was just trying to see what. Yeah, I was just trying to see what that how that injury was trending actually.
Yeah.
While you were talking. Just to get a bit of an update about.
Just while you look that up, I mean, I'm going to love watching the wide receiver matchup between JSN and Ibuka. Like, they are two phenomenal young talents. They got guys that can get them the ball, which is great to see. And yeah, it'd just be a phenomenal matchup for those two.
Oh, that's right. It was Bucky Irving. He's had the lower leg injury that they were getting more opinions on.
Okay.
So his status is still up in the air. Whether it's what's being characterised as an ankle or foot injury.
Yeah. So that's a big out if he is out in terms of this game, because like you said, he had 100 yards receiving last week. So he's in the catching game for the Buccaneers. So that's a big out because their run game dries up significantly with going to Rashid White, and who's more of a pass catcher, but the running game ramming down our throats, it's not going to work. So, and Seattle have been really, really good defensively this year. They're one of the top defenses in the league.
It only says that, weirdly, the injury report, I mean, just that he didn't practice at all on Wednesday. But it says that he is sore. I would imagine that as an NFL player, after every game, you would be sore.
Yeah,
like,
correct. It's just part and parcel of being a pro athlete, right?
I know. I can't imagine coming away from a game where you don't feel like crap for a period of time. So it's that's a very, very strange thing to me. Yeah. So this game will be fascinating. I think it will be fascinating, and I'm really hoping, despite who's on the field, whatever goes on, that it's 4 quarters of quality football, and it's a great watch.
Yeah.
The other game to watch in your multi-view in the late window, and it's the other game which could be an absolute cracker as well. I don't know which one of these two is going to be the best one to watch, but they're both going to be way up there. The 2-2 Washington Commanders against the 3-1 LA Chargers. Of course, the Chargers have been like the darling team of the NFL so far this season. Their brand of football changed completely. They started winning games, winning them convincingly, showing so many different things than what we used to seeing with them, I guess, where the phrase was always the Chargers are going to charge her. And you knew that they were red hot for throwing away games in the third and fourth quarter against the Commanders, who were the hot topic last year, and they're back at 2-2 so far this season. They came off a 34-27 loss to the Falcons last week, which in our review show I was dumbfounded by. As I said, I can't understand who the hell the Falcons are, and yet they came away and beat the Commanders. Yes, it was the Mariota-led Commanders. It probably would have changed a lot with Jaden Daniels there. Jaden Daniels is back for this week, so expect to see the Commanders come out firing. The Chargers, they lost to the New York Giants in an absolute stunner. I can't imagine that the Chargers are going to want to drop another game now. I think that they're going to come out absolutely charging, for want of a better word, and really try and smash it down the Commanders' throat early to just sort of show dominance and show that last week isn't what that team is.
Yeah, I feel the same. And that's what I've written down in my notes here is how are the Chargers going to bounce back from the brutal loss to the Giants last week. And how is Jaden Daniels going to go when he comes back? But it looks like Scary Terry's not going to be there for him, who is his favourite target. And they're still missing Austin Eckler. Like, they got, I think, 3 running back rookies potentially, or 1 to 2 year players that are coming in, and they're not adapt to the NFL. They're NFL players, but they're not really taking any pressure off. So look for Jane Daniels to be really good on the legs. So they might be designing up a few plays for him to run the ball. But Deebo Samuel has to step up in McLaurin's absence and become a wide receiver 1 for the week to get them over the line. But the worrying thing for me with the Chargers is their offensive line is really banged up at the moment, which you and Brad talked about in the on the show previously. So how are they going to protect Justin Fields, and how is that going to affect Amari and Hampton trying to make some yards through the middle?
Yeah, it's going to be super difficult. That offensive line has been absolutely decimated. So it'll be interesting now that with removing Joe Alt from that equation too, is how they come out. I can't imagine, though, with a week to prepare, that they won't have some kind of plan. It looks like the Chargers seem to be the most complete team in the O-line in terms of their skill level in their O-line, their starters, their backups, etc. Something that a lot of other teams in the league seem to fall away from.
Yep.
There's been a lot of talk this week out everywhere in the media and on X and everything from people, just normal pundits, and punters just talking about things in terms of, like people talk about expansion teams for the NFL, like how the hell are we going to expand the teams when we can't get 32 quality O-lines, already now. There's such a lack of depth, and how do you fix that? But I think the Chargers have a way to do it, and it's pretty clear that they have a way to do it. So I think with a week to prepare, they're going to be a lot better and know what to do, how they're going to go forward without Joe at left tackle now. And it is pretty obviously important. Left tackle is hugely important to the health of your quarterback to start with. Nonetheless, sort of getting that run game going as well. So I think you hit the nail on the head, mate, that those couple of items are exactly what this game is all about and exactly what will make this very entertaining. I love that you brought up Jaden Daniels' legs, because I think it will be a heavy Jaden Daniels run game. Bill Krosky-Merritt, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, let's call him his real name. He's looking better and better every week, and I think he'll be the guy that will eventually emerge as the running back at the head of that room.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he'll get there eventually. Yep. But yeah, you're right.
It's by committee at the moment, right? In the last
correct.
couple
They're
of
sharing
games.
around so much. Yeah, and they're sharing around the wide receiver role as well. To be honest, Deebo, they got Luke McCaffrey going last week, and I wouldn't have picked that before, because he's sort of been hanging back there in sort of the wide receiver 3 territory. Oh, sorry, not 3, but like 6, like in depth wise, like on third string. For so long. It's hard for wide receivers. You've got to say third string. Yeah, so he's sort of been lacking back there for a while, and it was starting to wonder, like, is he going to get? Does he have the same juice as his brother has, essentially?
Yeah,
to come in the league and explode. Yeah,
but I must say the offense played pretty good against a pretty decent Falcons defense as well. So maybe, I know it was Mariota-led offense, but I still think they played quite well in that game.
Yeah, I think they did too. I was just stunned that you get beaten by the Falcons. And obviously the Falcons defense couldn't stop them scoring, because it was still 27 that they let in. And I think it was the heroics of Penix that sort of got him over that point with his 300-yard game, and then getting Bijan going, Drake London as well. So that's where that came about for the Falcons. But I don't think Mariota did badly, but it wasn't outstanding. Is sort of where I was at. It didn't look as functional. I'm trying to find the right words. It definitely didn't look as functional as it does with Jaden Daniels at quarterback. So, and that's to be expected. It's his team.
Yep.
So
that's
he's
correct.
back. Yeah. Hopefully really healthy. Hopefully ready to absolutely smash this game and show what he could do.
Yeah, and the defense kind of needs to step up again. Like Dan Quinn is a defensive head coach. The Giants in the first week only scored 6, but then the Packers put on 18, the Raiders put on 24, and then the Falcons put on, the Packers put on 27 on them actually. So
and the Falcons
put on 34. So Dan Quinn should be looking back to his defense and starting to get them into gear to actually start cranking it up a notch because, he's a defensive-minded coach.
I think that the big thing with that Commanders defense is that they let the Falcons. I'm pretty sure if I go back to the other games, they let the Falcons score in every quarter. Now, you do that with a team. If you let a team score in every quarter, it's going to be hard to restrict them and get a win.
Yes.
So, and they let them score in every quarter.
Yeah.
The first 3 quarters were all touchdowns in those, and then just a field goal at the end. But that's what got them over the line. So, righto. Well, just Monday Night Football to go. Monday Night Football this week is in Jacksonville, Florida. We're going down to Jacksonville, where the Kansas City Chiefs are going to take on the Jacksonville Fred Durst. The Jags and the Chiefs are going to be a very interesting game, to say the least. The Chiefs finally found themselves a bit last week. Patrick Mahomes found himself from 5 years ago and showed us or tried to tell us, hey, remember who I am, and I can still lead a team, and we can still create this. The Jags and Liam Cohen have been, I think the best term is messing around with how they play. They're much like the Chargers we're seeing now, I think, is where the Jags are at the beginning of that journey, where they're going to change and they're going to mold themselves to be something different to try and hit that pinnacle once again. Hit that pinnacle, but also like get themselves into playoff football in steady terms, back to the championship game, etc., because that's the stuff that it really matters about. And I think they're at the beginning of that. You can see signs of that it's good, but you can also see stuff from the last few years which still creeps in, which is the bad. And how long is it going to take for Liam Cohen to get that out of their system, especially when they come up against a Chiefs team who haven't been playing great, but they're still the Chiefs. And whilst they might not play great, they can still be in and around their opposition. And if they really want, they can punish their opposition.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see if last week's game against the Ravens was actually a turning point in the season for the Kansas City Chiefs, where they were having a really poor start to the season, but then they've played the Ravens. They've got their game plan now of how they want to play this season against teams and how they want Patrick Mahomes to play. And then let's see if they kick on from there and start putting teams to the sword and start now contending in the West. And for the Jags, I really like the Jags this year. I think Travis Etienne has really found himself, and it showed last year he was probably banged up more than what everyone thought he was. He hasn't just fallen off a cliff as a running back in the NFL. Brian Thomas is starting to figure out that he's got hands this year again. So he's starting to come back a bit there, and Trevor Lawrence is playing really well at the moment. So it's going to be an interesting game on Monday night. But I think it's the first one that I mentioned. I think the Chiefs have finally found themselves and how they're going to play out this season and contend for another Super Bowl. I think it's going to be like that, but I'm going to tip the Jags. I really like the Jags this season.
Yeah, I super like the Jags too. I love that the run game is back for the Jags. That they've gotten ETN sort of rolling again. There was a time there where you thought that he was probably going to like roll off and falter a bit, maybe not be as good. Maybe they were going to have to start pushing some rookies in there. Of course, they got Bashal Tutun as well. But 124 on the ground and a touchdown last week was simply sensational. So it was great to see that. The other couple of big names or guys that played big parts in that game last week too for the Jags that I really love seeing come about was Brenton Strange,
Yep.
the tight end, and finally seeing Travis Hunter actually do something.
Mhm.
But Hunter Long, the other tight end. So it was the two tight ends that really impressed me in just where they were, their positioning on the field. It wasn't just the plays that they made in terms of receiving, but especially Hunter Long, watching him in defensive game, he was wrecking guys on the line. So he was, he was creating that space and that ability for ETN to be able to just go off.
Yeah.
So
And he had
I
a
really
couple
like
of big
the Jags.
catches too in that game, like a
Yep.
couple of really big catches down the stretch.
Yeah, we
I
had
think
2 on the 1 touchdown drive, the one that he got, the touchdown that he got actually.
Yeah. And I think if you go back to last year for the Jags, it was always, is it ETN or is it Bixby? Is it ETN or is it Bixby? And once ETN had a really good first week and they shipped Bixby out of there, I think that's really given him the confidence to say, all right, I'm RB1 in this room. I'm the man.
Yeah.
I've got to go and show people why I'm the man, and this is how it's going to be done.
Yeah, I totally agree, mate. I totally agree. And the Jags, I think this is, and we say it about a lot of these teams that are sort of middle of the road, that this is the test. And we're saying the things last week when you look at the Colts and et cetera last week. But this is kind of the big test is the Chiefs, because you don't know, the Chiefs they're very up and down. It's Big Red and the Chiefs, and they sort of mold the game to how they want it to be played every single week. It hasn't been going their way this season, but it's still the test for the Jags. And one that they're going to have to sort of figure out how to overcome pretty quickly, because they've got the Seahawks and the Rams up in the couple of weeks after that before they get to have a bit of a layback again. But I think if they get in this next 3 weeks, you get 2 out of 3 of these games these next 3 weeks as the Jags, and I think this team is absolutely rolling to the playoffs, because I think they'll be feeling themselves and they will be motoring, and we'll start seeing something, like I said, something different from this Liam Cohen led Jaguars team that the Jags haven't seen in years.
Yeah. It's like you're saying, it's a big 3 weeks in their season, like you said. And just one note, I would hate to be Manjot's DMs after last week. when the Jags beat the 49ers. Actually, I wouldn't like to be Manjot's DMs for a while, because if the Rams put a beat down on them, it's going to be a fun one for me to send over a few messages.
Yeah, well, Matty was giving him a fair slap after the game last week. I don't know, Manjot was getting in his feels about it a bit too much, but as Matty rightfully pointed out, I don't recall. I don't recall any of this being a problem when you were beating me for the last 12 years. But it's you get to gloat every once in a while. I'm a Vikings fan, so I don't really get to do that too much. I'll gloat when we're in the playoffs. I'll gloat when we're in the second or third round of the playoffs. Right? When everyone says that
you're in the playoffs last year.
When everyone says that when we get to the playoffs this year, when everyone said that we were going to be third or fourth in that division, I'll gloat then.
What is the status? Is it Wentz this season? Wentz on this weekend?
Yeah, it's Wentz still this weekend.
All right.
Yeah, they haven't really said anything else. It's so I don't think that they'd. I don't know. I kind of think obviously JJ McCarthy is over there, and. Yeah, once the Browns announced Dylan Gabriel, I almost would have said, let's stick JJ McCarthy. Let's just go backwards. I haven't really provided any sort of injury timeline or update, to be honest. Everything's kind of a bit of a mystery. So, yeah, who knows? That's the Vikings. Everything's a mystery with the Vikings, including their own fans who, oh man, today was wild. It's Thursday in Australia that we record this, so it was Wednesday in the States, and which is the 1st of October. It's a big Jewish holiday day. Our owners, the Wilfs family, are of the Jewish faith, two brothers that own the place. They're massive in the Jewish faith. They're huge about it. They post a thing, basically, like wishing people well. I can't remember what the actual name is because it's Jewish stuff, so I can't read it. But yeah, they post people well, and people are in, like, actual Vikings fans are in these comments going, "Why do we need to do this? What's this all about?" And it's like, do you like? It's the owners of the team that you follow, and God, it gives me a headache. I'm just like, you people can't be this thick. Seriously, we need to stop. We need to get out of the field, stop eating corn, and start actually using the grey matter up top.
Yeah, that's it.
Because clearly, being in the Midwest in Minnesota is doing something to your brain. You can't figure out that the two Jewish owners we've got are going to celebrate their Jewish faith on a big day for their faith. Anyway,
Yeah.
fucking blows my mind. So that's the theology podcast. All right, mate. Well, that's Monday Night Football. Not a lot in best bets this week. I have been looking at some best bet stuff, but there's not a lot. Isaac's not a huge bettor, so I wasn't going to subject him to it a lot.
Give us an
if you want to
8-leg
hear up
multi.
some betting stuff. Do you want me to do an 8-leg multi? I'll smash one right now if you really want it. All right, I've had a quick look. We've jumped away. I've had a quick look. I've had some lines. I hadn't really looked at any of these, so this is totally off the cuff. It might be good, it might be bad. Maybe good, maybe shit.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
Last week, as I said, I went, no, where did I go? 1-7. The handicaps did me in, to be honest. The week before was 4-4, so last week was 1-7. The handicap picking did me in, so I don't know if I want to go with it this week. We might shy away from it a bit. So we've got the Vikings over the Browns in London. We're going the Giants, who are dogs against the Saints.
What?
No way.
Oh, far out.
The Giants are dogs against the Saints. I don't understand this world.
Jesus Christ.
I'll just run back to that and I'll tell you what it actually is. It's 1.5 points, but they're dogs against the Saints. Wild.
Oh, good Lord.
We've gone the Colts over the Raiders, who have a 6.5 point start, by the way. We hadn't mentioned any of the starts this week. I've chucked the Eagles in there over the Broncos. I think we're going to 5-0 there for the Eagles. Chucked in the Cardinals over the Titans. They've got a 7.5 point start against the Titans. So they're in there just to build it out a bit. The Lions over the Bengals. That's the big one as well. The Bills over the Patriots. I feel bad for taking too many of these short price favourites now. Now that I'm looking at the spreads.
Yeah, you got to get it done, though. Don't go to the spreads, Ian. Don't do it.
I won't change it. No, I won't. I'm not going to do it. And then round out the 8, I've gone the Jags at home over the Chiefs to bring home the weekend. So hopefully we get to the Monday night game and we're still alive like it was in the first week.
Chance to cash out.
If you go with all 8 of those legs, that's 25-19. Our power play is amazing once again. Brings me up to 30-62.
Beautiful.
So that's where we're at for this week. 8-leg multi. Follow along if you want. You don't have to. Absolutely no pressure. We're going to see what happens and how good I am at picking teams this week.
Give the fans what they want, Ian. They want an 8-leg multi.
Oh, well, everyone wants an 8-leg multi. As I said, I'll quickly run back through those games because we didn't really look at the lines. Chargers are 2.5 point favourites. It's a 48.5 total at the moment. The Colts are 6.5 point favourites against the Raiders. That's 47.5 total. The Eagles, as I said earlier, 3.5 favourites against the Broncos. 43.5. That's one of the lowest totals of the week. Wild, so that could just be massively defensive game. The Seahawks are 3.5 point favourites against the Bucks, which I find very interesting. I thought that'd be shorter, but it's not. So there we go. Oh, and then obviously the Chiefs are 3.5 over the Jags, which is a solid bet. I think the Jags at 3.5 is a great bet right now.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So that's it. That's the preview show for week 5. Thank you very much for listening. It's a quick one this week. Amazing how Isaac and I can get it under 40 minutes.
Yes, it might be
amazing.
Might be called G'day Gridiron Halfer.
Exactly, 48 minutes in length. If you want to listen to the other side of our life, our boys' life, the rest of the family, if you want to listen to the rest of the family, Linktree/Aussie Gridiron Network is where you're going to find the links for everybody in the network. So us, Aussie NFL Fantasy Show, Manjot's Pastry Press on Instagram, and then, of course, we've got our YouTube channel, which you'll find if you search for Aussie Gridiron Network on YouTube. So go and check out that. All the socials. Hit us up on there. Isaac and I will put up some posts during the game week, so Monday-ish, for reactions for next week, where you can put any live reactions you've got as you're watching games, thoughts, stick them up in there, and we can talk about stuff on the reaction show next week. Next week might be a little bit disjointed. I will be doing the majority of the shows live from Bathurst on my annual holiday to the mountain. So I may be inebriated, I may be sunburnt, but I will still be here and likely in my car, actually, in some capacity. I'm going to be that nerd sitting in a car with his light on, talking to his phone.
Like Cody a couple of weeks
I'll figure that out next week. Yeah. Actually, we've got little lapel mics and everything now. We've got the Instagram sort of vloggers lapel mics and stuff that we bought, which are red hot, so it might be plugged into my phone. I just need light, though, so everyone can see my ugly face. So I might be sitting in there with my Ryobi torch, to be honest. See how that goes. Anyway, hit us up on socials and just check us out next week when we get to the other side of week 5 for the reaction shows. Thanks very much for joining. We'll see you later.
Thank you.